Okay, guys, it is time to relax and unwind while I read you a Reddit story time. Okay, grab your snacks. I have mine. Ooh, but I'm not a rapper. And we'll jump straight into it. So today's Reddit story is the motel knew who we were before we checked in. Okay, if this is a creepy story, I've already creeped myself out enough for the day, and we're going to get into this creepy story, and I will not be able to sleep tonight. But I'm doing it for you guys. Here we go. I should have known something was off the moment we picked that town. Let's call it Dustin Hollow, a town that was not even on the map until we zoomed in twice. A town with one diner, one gas station, and a rundown motel with flickering letters that read The Hollow Inn. Because of the S started to fall off years ago. LOL. Now, before I came to North Carolina, I definitely would not have believed a town could have one diner, one gas station. But there are a lot of small cities out here that have absolutely nothing. Like, my parents live in a town that's like a 15-minute drive from the start of it to the end of it, which is crazy. But, anyways, here we go. We were both married, me to Jared and him to Denise, but we were coworkers who blurred a line on a trip 6 months ago, and we suddenly found ourselves taking a business trip every few weeks. Just not the kind of places our bosses would recognize. Trifling, trifling. I've been hearing that a lot of married couples do that. Like married people cheat with other married people so they both have something to lose. And that's crazy. But anyways, let's get into it. I'm getting too distracted. This time, we wanted somewhere that not only our bosses wouldn't check, but no one would look. And Dustin Hollow felt like the perfect crime. The middle of nowhere, creepy but cheap, and not even TripAdvisor reviews. We didn't even tell anyone where we were going. I left Jared a fake itinerary for a fake conference, and Marcus had told Denise he was leading a sales retreat. Whatever is about to happen to them is karma. Whatever is about to happen to them is karma. Anyways, we drove 5 hours, barely seeing another car. Heck no. We pulled up to a motel, and it was just after 7 p.m. The sun was dipping behind gray hills. We parked next to a rusted out pickup truck with a shattered windshield cover on the duct tape. Yeah, heck no. Charming Marcus had joked to me before we walked in together. And that's when the weird began. Oh, God. The desk clerk. The lobby smelled like old meat and mold. A taxidermy deer head stared us down with one glassy eye and an empty socket. At the desk, a man who looked off. That reminds me of iCarly, like the weird guy in the front. He was maybe in his 50s, but his skin was pockmarked like he had been sick for years. His left eye twitched every 10 seconds. And you know what? I'm getting back in my car and turning around. Why are you staying at a place that got a creepy guy? No, heck no. Heck no. He didn't greet us. He just looked up and said, "You're in room 6. Keys are already on the counter." And we hadn't given him our names. We didn't even say who we were yet. I said, "You're in room 6, he said. "Enjoy your night." Marcus gave me a look like, whatever, and grabbed the keys. We should have left then. Duh. Like, no, Sherlock. If I go somewhere, if I go to some hotel and they tell me what room I am in before even giving my name, I'm going to think they're trying to, you know, initiate me into the Illuminati or hand me off to the diddler, cuz you don't even know who I am. Why are you just no. No. Anyways, we passed by another guest in the hallway. She stood completely still, facing the wall. Her lips were moving, but no sound came out. I couldn't help but to stare at her as we walked through the door. And the door was marked with what looked like dry blood, but just a handprints, fingers a little long, more than human like. Just keep walking, Marcus muttered. What, yo, this is why you shouldn't be cheating on your husband, because Marcus don't care about you. He's setting you up. Okay, room 6. The room was surprisingly cleaner than expected. A queen-sized bed, an old TV. It smelled like pine sol, but it had a sour smell underneath. There were already towels folded up on the bed, shaped like little swans, and one swan had a lipstick mark on its neck. My lipstick. What? I hadn't even opened my bag yet. Did you do that? Marcus had asked. I looked at him confused. What? The towels. No, why? Why would I? We both stood there, silent. I walked into the bathroom and screamed. Taped to the mirror was a picture of me and Marcus, taken from behind, from earlier that day, pumping gas. We hadn't noticed anyone. Marcus stormed out and stomped back at the lobby. He came back a minute later, pale as chalk. The clerk's gone, he said. Just gone. This place is empty. What the? Dude, what? This is weird. This is really weird. This is so weird. Okay. The phone call. That night we didn't sleep. We locked the door and we pushed the dresser in front of it. Around 3 a.m., the phone rang. Heck no. 3 o'clock is the devil's hour. Why are you answering a random phone in this creepy motel at 3 a.m.? No. Marcus stared at it. Please don't answer, I whispered. You are so right, because no, don't pick up that phone. It rang again and he picked it up. His face twisted slowly like someone had just died in front of him, and he didn't say anything, just listened. When he hung up, he looked at me and said, they knew my son's name, his middle name, and only Denise knows that. Then a text popped up on his phone. It was from my number. Check under the bed. What the heck? But I hadn't sent it. Marcus slowly knelt and looked underneath, and then he screamed like nothing I had ever heard. There were dozens of pictures of us, printed, stuck together with chewed gum, pictures from dates we thought were private, and one from my own bathroom mirror, and another one from inside of Marcus's house, inside his bedroom. Someone had been following us for months. Dude, if I get a text from somebody who's sitting right next to me that obviously did not send the text, I'm not doing whatever that text message said. I'm not looking under the bed. But anyways, the revelation. We didn't know what to do. We tried to leave, but our car tires were slashed clean through. The guest from earlier, the woman facing the wall, she was outside now, sitting cross-legged in the dirt, smiling. She had no teeth, and that's when we saw it. Someone had carved confess into the driver's side door. That is so freaky. We ran, found an old phone booth a mile down the road that still worked. Marcus called 911 and they picked up. Hello, Marcus, the voice said. We'll be seeing you soon. He dropped the phone. What the heck? Dude, what the heck? How do you call the police and the police say hello to you by name? Okay. Anyways, it says just as we gave up and started walking back, a sheriff's cruiser pulled. What do you mean walking back? You're obviously being set up and you're going back to the location you're being set up at. Okay. A sheriff's cruiser pulled up, flashing lights. Finally, we were getting help, we thought. Two officers got out, and one of them was Denise, his wife. Dude. Surprised, she said. Behind her, my husband Jared stepped out from the passenger side holding a duffel bag. You thought you could cheat on us and get away with it? Jared smiled. They weren't just together now, they had been planning this. Months of GPS trackers, photos, and they even paid the motel clerk, Jared's old army buddy. This whole town, Jared said, doesn't exist on most maps for a reason. The people here owe me favors. They plan to scare us, film our reactions, and then expose everything publicly. The bloody handprints, the photos, and even the woman smiling outside was all an act. But it had gone too far, except it didn't stop there. Bro, how you got a sneaky link and your husband and your sneaky link's wife get together and plot to expose you for cheating while they're cheating? What? Anyways, it didn't stop there. As Jared opened the trunk to get out the last prop, which was what looked like a fake body bag, Denise started coughing uncontrollably. Then she screamed and she pointed at her arm, the same rash that Marcus had seen on the clerk's face. Then Jared dropped to his knees, bleeding from his nose, eyes wide in horror. I turned around and saw the woman with no teeth, now surrounded by the three others, all silent and all smiling. This wasn't a part of their plan. The motel had its own plans. What the heck? They dragged Jared and Denise back towards the Hollow Inn, screaming. The last thing I saw before we ran into the woods was the motel clerk watching us from the window, smiling and holding a camcorder. What the? Dude, what? We escaped, but barely. We tried to go to the police in the next town, and they said that Dustin Hollow had burned down 20 years ago, and no such place exists now. We don't know what happened, but I still get letters sometimes from no return address, just pictures of us at the motel smiling, but we never took them. Dude, this is creepy. Moral of the story, you shouldn't have a sneaky link, especially while you're married. And moral of the story is don't go to creepy motels. Yo, dude, this is creepy. That's so weird. And you know what? I feel like a lot of people have this experience and have these like stories, but it's like so unbelievable until it happens to you. But I don't need to believe it. I hope no creepy paranormal stuff happens to me. I hope you guys enjoyed the story time. And most importantly, do you know where your kids are?